What's going on, everybody? Alright, so we're just chilling today, man. We are going to talk a little bit about motorcycles. The types of riders for different types of bikes, and kind of where my head is when it comes to different types of bikes. That was a really cool looking BRZ. Oh, I actually heard some news on those too. That they're going to be throwing a turbo in it, and Subaru is no longer going to get a copy of it, of the new GT86. It's pretty cool. All right, so. When it comes to buying a motorcycle, guys, whether it's your dream bike or a starter bike, one thing you gotta remember for sure. Yeah, whenever y'all buying motorcycles, guys, one thing I would always caution everybody against is you have to be able to identify what your actual budget is for a bike. And we're talking about motorcycles specifically. So you have to definitely narrow it down and figure out what you can actually afford, and the way you do that is you look at the bike that you want. So for example, when I was looking for bikes, I was looking more or less I didn't really know. I knew what I did not want to spend, right? So for example, I was looking at the BMW S1000RR, and I knew that is my dream bike. But the price, I honestly did not want to spend over 20 G's for a bike. And that was basically because of my issues, and the reason being is because I was starting back off on a sport bike after a long time, and I did not really feel comfortable with spending a shit ton of money on a bike to kind of relearn it. And honestly, what I probably should have did, thinking about it, well, actually, no, I shouldn't have did. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I went and got a bike that I wanted that was used, and I saved money on it versus going completely brand new. But what I had to do was I had to figure out my actual budget, and what I ended up having to do is the first thing I just went and did, I went and looked at a GSX-R1000, and the GSX-R1000 was priced pretty well. It was alright. It was a brand new one. It was really expensive, and then people started telling me, like, look, if you're gonna get a 750, don't go get a brand new one. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, that's dumb. Why? And so I started doing more research, and I realized that specifically for the 750s, they haven't changed in a very long time. So essentially you're paying for a brand new bike, yes, but nothing has changed with the bike for like the last 10 years. So you're not necessarily getting a brand new bike. They just keep putting them out. Nothing really updated about them except for like the colorways. So I started looking into the used ones, and the prices were dramatically different, you know what I mean? So, but my only issue is that when you're buying new, brand used, you know, you are taking a gamble, especially if you're buying private. You are taking a chance as far as, you know, buying something that is not a lemon. But that's besides the point. If that's what I'm looking at, then I need to go back and seriously reevaluate how much money I want to spend on a bike. And that's what I did. I got that number, it really honestly put everything in perspective for me, because the entire time I was just kind of like thinking I knew how much money I needed to spend or wanted to spend, especially like that. And initially I was looking at something that was going to be like 14,000 or under out the door, and you can find those, but the only problem with that is that if you're looking for those like at a dealership or something like that, you're probably it's gonna be a little bit harder depending on what you're looking for. So you know, I would always suggest that you go look at the bike that you specifically want for sure and get the out the door price for it. That's going to determine who you're going to be able to get, who you're going to be able to use credit wise to finance that bike. It's also going to let you know, it's going to help you literally just get started, man. You know what I'm saying? There's in the motorcycle community, I've realized that there's a lot of different riders, man. Are you a person that, you know, you want a functional bike that is working order, almost new off the showroom floor, even if it's used, it's in working order. It's not you don't have to really fix anything to ride it. If you want a bike like that, go to a dealership or buy from somebody that you know takes care of their motorcycles. Or you can be kind of like almost everybody else, where they are always looking for project bikes. They're always looking for a project bike. So there are going to be like different factors when it comes to once you actually get your budget down, other factors are going to come into play. It's actually a really kind of like it can be a frustrating process, especially if you've never owned a motorcycle before. That's why most people, honestly, like when I first started riding, the first bike I got was actually from a dealership. So. And I bought that online. That was my very first motorcycle. I bought it off of eBay from a different state, and that was the first time I had ever done anything like that before. And it was from a dealership. They set up everything, and it was actually a pretty easy process. And that's how I got my first bike, brand new Ninja 250, and I had it delivered and everything. It was worked perfectly. But most people will stick to Craigslist, Facebook, where you just save up. You know, most people will be like, look, I got $4,000. I want a bike, and then you go find a bike like that. But like I said, I mean, I ride with so many people that, or I would say that I ride around other people that have project bikes, man, and there's always something fucked up on it. And those are, it seems like those are always the people that have something going on. Like, it's always something fucked up with their bike. You know, so, you know, it just depends on what type of person you want. You can honestly get any motorcycle that you kind of want for a really good price if you're willing to buy it used and if you're willing to fix it. That's always going to be a fact. The other factor that's going to affect your purchase, man, is going to be your credit. And honestly, like cars, motorcycles are even worse for predatory practices, especially at dealerships. So that's another thing that you really need to know too, is that they lure you in there with prices on the bikes. But when it's all said and done, all the taxes are going to get you. Your credit is going to be a major deciding factor in you being able to be financed if you're looking to finance, if you're not paying cash. Your credit is going to definitely make and break you, honestly, because your credit is going to be a determining factor. It's the determining factor, honestly, and what you're gonna pay monthly. So for example, if you have shitty credit, no credit, you gotta come in with a lot of money down to get finance. You gotta come in with a lot of money down. Coming with a lot of money down, and your monthly payment's going to be really high. So they get a lot of these guys that come in there, they're like, I want this, and then you walk out and you're paying an astronomical price of like $400 something a month. I've seen people doing it, man. I've seen it happen. $400 or $500 a month. Make or break you. You just got to be very smart, man, and kind of know what you're on to spend. So and that's just talking about the financial part of getting the motorcycle, obtaining it. I would first honestly decide, okay, look, I know what kind of bike I want as far as like the class. So let's say you're looking for a liter bike. Now you know you want a liter bike, kind of narrowed it down which one you want based on the top amount of money you want to spend, out the door prices. don't understand how much you can actually afford as well is you need to decide how much money you're trying to spend monthly. How much do you want to spend monthly? And you do that by saying, okay, I don't want to spend no more than, let's say, for example, no more than $400 a month. And that's for insurance and my payment, right? People don't factor in insurance. They don't like to think about insurance. And I don't understand that because you're spending thousands of dollars on something. I don't know why you wouldn't want to insure it. It makes no sense to me. But say you don't want to spend no more than $400 a month for your payment and your insurance, and that's going to, you need to determine, you need to figure out your purchasing power. And that's why I said that it's easy to shop for motorcycles on the internet and from YouTube based on what you like to see or what you can see. But what you can afford is always way more different than what you want. So that's why you go to the meets, you'll see a lot of fellas riding on 500s and 600s and smaller. And those are the guys that are always wanting the leader bikes. And it's like, that's the difference between a leader bike and a smaller bike is your insurance is way cheaper if you're not on a leader bike. Your insurance is much cheaper. Payments are going to be much cheaper. It just all depends on what how much you're willing to pay, man, you know, and you know, for me, I pay $300 a month for this thing. All right, $300 a month. My insurance, like I said, compared to my other two motorcycles that I had on my policy, when I took those off, I was paying $51 for two motorcycles a month for full coverage. When I added this and took the other two off, my bill went up from $51 to about $88, I believe is what I saw last, like $88. So it went up quite a bit, not super bad, but so all in all, 300 plus about 88 bucks. So about $385 a month is what I pay, and I was okay with that, right? I was okay with that, and that's what helped me actually make my decision. I didn't make my decision necessarily based on my heart, like, oh, my dream bike is the S1000. I don't care how much I gotta pay to have it. I just need it. I need it in my garage. I'm done with that kind of mentality, man. That mentality will have you fucking hurting. A lot of these guys on these bikes that you see fucking making content, man, a lot of these guys, you have to also be careful too. A lot of these guys you'll see, they'll be making videos and they'll have the bike for like a year or sometimes even less. And they're like, oh, I'm getting a new bike. And it's like, that's because they took your other bike away, motherfucker, because you couldn't make the payments. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful, man. These dudes, a lot of these guys, man, they fakers, man. They pretenders, man. A lot of these guys are pretenders, man.